Hi, my name is Theo, and you are listening to Between Two Trains. We bring you the best and brightest entrepreneurs in the North DeKalb area on the 1st and 15th of every month. Today, your co-hosts are Van Pappas and Eric Most. And now, Between Two Trains.
Welcome to another Between Two Trains. My name's Van Pappas, your host, and my co-host today again, Eric Most.
That's right.
We joke a lot about Eric's last name. Eric's with Chase Bank. Eric, any new developments at Chase? I think last episode we talked a little bit about some of the changes in the way the local branches look, and they're much more geared towards fast, automated type of system.
Building new branches,
Yeah.
not just here in Georgia. There's 25 going in Georgia, but by the end of the year, we'll be in Nashville, Tennessee. That's exciting.
And you mainly just help the business owners. You're not on the retail side, right? You're helping business owners with their banking needs.
Yep, I'm a bit of a moving target. Go all over the state, some into the southeast.
So if we have a business owner listening to the podcast today and they need a loan, would they come to you?
Yep, privately held companies between 1 and 50 million in top line gross revenue on the business side is where I work. And I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time.
Well, let's bring on our guest today. We have today with us Malory Atkinson with Sheer Structural. Malory, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and so what I like, Eric, about having Malory is, we've been doing these podcasts here at 3411 Co-working for quite a while now. Big props to Margaret and what she's created here in downtown Chamblee. And Malory actually is a tenant here at 3411 Co-working. So let's start off with first telling us about Sheer, what exactly y'all do. We're not talking about cutting hair here.
No, though I do get a lot of hair cutting catalogs in our mailbox.
Is that because of the name?
Yeah, because of the name Sheer.
The
Yep,
Sheer.
exactly.
So
yes.
Sheer Structural, tell us
Sheer
what
Structural.
it is.
Sheer Structural is an all-women-owned commercial structural engineering practice located here, and we serve 11 states throughout the Southeast.
I assume no sheep catalogs come your way?
No sheep catalogs.
For sheep
yeah,
shearing?
No sheep shearing, no.
And so why Chamblee, why 3411 Co-working?
When the three partners, we were looking at a location, we wanted obviously something central to us. MARTA was really important in terms of hiring for future, especially for millennials. There's a lot of data out there that shows that they want options other than driving a car. So we kind of started looking at the MARTA line, and then in between us was this location, and Chamblee has a lot of amazing things happening in it, and great restaurants, lots of really cool boutiques, lots of other small businesses. So
That
it
helps you with your hiring, is having those amenities around?
Of course, yeah. It's just having that character, that like nice city character, because we knew we weren't going to be in the city, and so for us, this was kind of the next best thing. And being on MARTA was a huge deal for us. We looked at both Brookhaven and Chamblee, and honestly, the City of Chamblee Economic Development folks were really great and helpful in getting us here to this space at 3411. And then, of course, as soon as we met Margaret, because I think that was like October of 2017, and Margaret had just opened in September of 2017, so she had just been open a little over a month. And we came here, fell in love with the location, being close to MARTA, fell in love with Margaret. The space is amazing, and it just really kind of fit all those needs, like co-working. We were only 2 months old, and so for us it was like everything's taken care of, your mail, the break room, coffee, all that stuff is taken care of. So it was really great, and we get to support another female business owner.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because Eric and I have realized from doing this show for a while now, actually we're coming up on a year and a half of this show, that we, by no fault or not by design, have ended up with a lot of female entrepreneurs. So you are a wholly owned female business.
100% female owned and managed.
Okay, and so tell us a little bit about that challenge, if there was any, starting a company as a female, and do you feel, going a little bit further, that there is some credibility that Chamblee is kind of unique in that we do have a lot of female entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I'll actually start there. So there's amazing data that came out of Pew Research, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Sure.
that research, that Chamblee, and it doesn't have to do with business owners, but that the women who live in Chamblee make more than the men. And it's only one of 7 cities.
We've debated that on this show before. And it's a fascinating statistic.
It's really
And it's
interesting.
really something that we should be shouting to the world to let people know.
Yes.
If you're a female, you can do very successful here. If you're a female entrepreneur, I'm not 100% sure how accurate that particular statistic
Yeah,
is,
that
because
one,
we do have a large ethnic group that is, in my opinion, underpaid, and that could be skewing that data. But taking that off the table and just talking about being a woman entrepreneur, we do have, we have a little group here of women entrepreneurs in Chamblee.
Yeah, it's called The Village.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're
yeah,
part of that?
course. Yeah, part of that. Yeah, I attend their meetings when I can. So it's really great. And I think as women, we just like to help support each other. That's just something that we naturally do. And so it's really great to have that organization. When we started the company, we weren't specifically looking to start an all women-owned engineering firm. It just kind of happened that way. But as soon as we started, we got this amazing feedback because we are the only in the state of Georgia. And we didn't even realize that until you start going through the data and researching it. And you're like, wow, there's no other all women-owned structural engineering firms in the entire state and very few in the country. And so it just gives us an edge, and we see it as an opportunity. It's never been a challenge for us.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
you don't feel like there's been no pushback?
No pushback. In fact, when we first started, almost every conversation was like, oh my gosh, how can I support you? And that came from both men and women. So it was women who were just so proud of us, and they were like, I'm going to live vicariously through you, and I'm so proud that you guys can do this and do wonderful things. And the male side was just like, whatever we can do to help. We want to see people like you succeed. So it was there, and the opportunity's there.
So do you think it's just a matter of that this particular industry, it wasn't appealing to women before, and not necessarily that men were stamping down any ability for a woman to get ahead in this industry?
Well, generally in engineering, roughly 20 to 22%. Yeah, so it's mainly male. So 20% of women who enter engineering in college are women. 20% of people are women. And so the rest are men. However, if you look at the licensure rate, that's more like 10%. So as women progress in their careers as engineers, they just they don't get licensed, which then doesn't allow you to open a company or move, progress in your career. And so there's all these things that happen in that kind of first 5 to 10 years of a female engineer's career path. And so that's really what needs to be looked at, that trajectory, in order to get women into leadership roles and ownership roles. So it's what happens there, which is engineering. Traditionally, this industry isn't very flexible, so it's hard to have a family and be a female in engineering. Typically, again, all the owners are male. They're typically older, so it's just there's sort of this disconnect with a lot of different things. But we're hoping to change that.
So obviously your schooling was in engineering. While you were going through school, did you have the desire to say, hey, when I get done with school, I want my own business, I want to be an entrepreneur? Or was it, hey, I'm going to go work for someone else and just get a paycheck? And
Actually, my schooling is not in engineering.
It's not?
It's not. I am the non-engineering partner. So my 2 partners are engineers.
Okay.
My degree is in construction.
Okay.
And so I've worked at an engineering company in marketing and business development. So I was introduced to engineering through like the sales and marketing side of it.
Okay.
And then I left and went to the tech startup world because I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, this is a great place to test my chops. Working for a startup, you're marketing something that doesn't exist. You're getting equity at a company, so you have a little bit of sweat equity. You feel that ownership. And so I got
that's
a little.
the way they entice you.
Yeah. And I knew that. You take a pay cut, but it was really fun. And so I learned through that experience that I was like, I'm meant to be an entrepreneur, and so just needed to find my path.
You're no strangers to engineers because you're a Georgia Tech grad, right?
That's right. Yes, I did go to Georgia Tech. And I work with engineers every single day, and I can talk about it enough to be dangerous. but I don't practice
MBA in
engineering.
marketing.
MBA in marketing from
Okay.
Georgia State.
So now it's starting to come clear to me, how this occurred.
And then you jumped into construction, another field that off the top of your head you think is
It's
probably
dominated by men.
Yes,
male-dominated
yes,
field.
even more so. So in construction, less than 10% of construction is
What did you
female.
do when you were doing that?
I worked for just a general contractor doing like site superintendent. I did not do that for very long, so that was just like not even 2 years. But
Yeah.
I learned that that's not what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So, and you like to do construction and to be out in the field every day, you have to love it.
Yeah.
You have to love it. So traded my, boots in for heels.
Yeah. And my wife did construction for a half a second. And she
Yeah.
said the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got roughly around 10 employees at
Yeah,
Shear?
we have 8
employees?
full-time and 2 part-time.
Okay. And and these are all engineers, or are some of those employees doing other non-engineering?
All of our full-time besides me, so 7 of them are engineers.
Are engineers.
Correct.
And what's the male to female ratio there?
We are more than 50% female.
More than 50%. So we
Yeah.
not only said, hey, we're going to be a woman-owned run company, but we're going to, is that part of the decision making?
I mean, part of it, it's not necessary, it's
It
not
just
like
happened.
it just happens that way. I think, again, because we're one of the only ones, we tend to attract more female engineers to our
Let's
staff.
say, hey, I can go to them and feel
Exactly.
comfortable about being an engineer. in this
Exactly. But really, it's more about just having diversity. I mean, again, it's not something where we're trying to target only female engineers. We want as diverse of a staff as possible and that's diverse in age, that's diverse in gender, that's diverse in ethnicity, whatever we can get, because that just gives us unique perspective on the business and helps us be more sustainable.
So let's now change the conversation to the startup of this. Go through and walk through what that was like, how it was funded, some of that stuff. We have Eric here for that part of the conversation to sort of look at how each of these entrepreneurs that come on the show, how they get started. Do they pull money out of their pocket? Do they hit up their, family? How was Shear formed?
Yeah, so we started back in August of 2017, so it hasn't quite been yet 2 years, and we each pulled money out of our pockets. So I went through the numbers, and it was like, okay, we each need to come to the table with this amount of money. Some of us took loans, some of us were able just to cover that ourselves, and so we self-financed, and then, probably 6 months, 7 months of no paychecks, and, finally, but we were, getting money, earning money out of the business. I think on day one, we wrote 11 proposals. So, when you write 11 proposals on day one, you're like, I think we did something right. And then by the end of the first month, we had billed like 20 projects. So it was kind of off to the races from the get-go. So we were able to, pull in that financing pretty easily.
And so, continuing with the conversation around financing, now that we're past that first 7 months, you're taking a paycheck now, finally, what going forward does Shear look like as far as any expansion, or, is there a need to do that, or we're sort of at a capacity now?
Yeah, I mean, for us, again, the 3 partners lived through the recession, which hit our industry particularly hard. And so it's not something that we ever want to kind of live through again, or at least, our businesses, like the companies that we were at, having to go through layoffs and just not a great time in the industry. So we're just trying to be really smart with our capital, which means not expanding too quickly. We definitely want to grow, obviously.
Building a little war chest.
Yes, exactly. Cash flow really is the most important thing, and that was something that we saw before, wasn't always taken as priority. So that's something that we definitely focus heavily on. But again, we want to grow the company. That gives our team much better opportunities, but we want to be smart with our growth, so not growing too quickly and then just taking opportunities as they come. So, I mean, we have definitely room to grow right now. We have, more clients and projects than probably we can handle, but we're having a lot of fun doing it, and we're using our contract part-time staff, where we can to kind of meet those ebbs and flows, and we'll probably have 1 to 2 more people on board this year, and then again, just sort of taking that year by year to see where our growth is.
Let's talk about those clients you just mentioned.
Sure.
So what is the ideal customer or client? Who are we talking about? Are we talking about the architects that
Yeah.
you're going to? Are they the ones that are coming and saying, hey, we need to hire you?
Yeah, so the majority, probably 80 to 85% of our clients are architects, and that's architects in many different industries: healthcare, education, commercial, retail, lots of different architects. So we work mainly directly for architects.
Okay, so that means the projects could vary from something really small
Mm-hmm.
to, I mean, what's like a large project that you might
So
can you
right now,
disclose any
yeah.
over
So
there?
right now we're working on an $80 million adult detention center out in Paulding County. So that's a large project. But then we're also working on like a brewery.
I like that. You understand what she just said? Adult detention
That's
center.
the that's
Oh,
the
is that
official.
the politically
Yeah, that's the
correct
politically
way?
correct. Yeah,
We
adult
can't
detention
just
center.
call it a jail anymore?
Yeah, no, it's not called jails.
not called
They're not
jail
called
anymore.
jails.
Penitentiary.
Penitentiary?
Yeah, no, it's not a penitentiary. Adult detention center. Mm-hmm.
It
Yep.
sounds like a spa. Adult
Someone
detention.
argued-
I had
It
to
is
think
not a
about-
spa. I will
when
tell
she-
you that.
when
Not a
she-
spa.
When she said that, I had to think about, is she talking about like a dog park or what? $80 million.
$80 million adult detention center. Yeah.
And so that would be on the high end, and then what would be something on the small end, like
Like 3411 co-working, we want to, punch a hole in this wall to make a window.
Okay.
I mean, we'll do stuff like
Stuff
that.
as small as
yeah,
that.
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, and
Primarily commercial.
all commercial.
All commercial.
Yeah, all commercial.
Okay.
So, and then we work a little bit with contractors and developers, and then some directly for institutions like Georgia Tech or Georgia State.
So since you're on the business side of this, I'm assuming that you are the one that's trying to drum up the new relationships with whether it's an architect or a developer or whatnot?
Yeah, that's part of my role. That's really part of the 3 of our partners. As partners, that's part of all of our roles. Since they're the ones that are doing the work, it's very important obviously for them to have a wonderful working relationship and for our clients to trust them. And so a lot of times it's just, can I find a new opportunity or keep an eye out for a new market that, might be profitable or might be interesting or we might have a good resume for. So that's what I'm doing, that work on the front end.
So let's talk about that a little, because your marketing is vastly different than anything that we've talked with our previous guests as far as how they market, whether it's a retailer that's marketing sales of products, or whether it's someone in the service profession like myself who might be using social media. How exactly are you marketing your company? I mean, what's the process there?
Yeah, so as a service provider, we're doing a lot of the same things. So social media is really big for us.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And then we have different target groups for what we're trying to do. So right now, hiring is very extremely difficult in our industry because, again, the recession hit that sort of mid-tier manager level really hard, and lots of people left the industry. So
Oh, and we're at historic low unemployment rates,
yeah,
so
that doesn't
there's-
help either.
There's no one out there.
Yeah, and then as a structural engineer, you typically have a master's degree. So I'm looking for somebody that has 2 degrees. I'm looking for a very specific person. So we use a lot of our marketing to attract new talent. Most of it is just to sort of continue. It's kind of like an integrated marketing approach where we just try to make sure that our clients just remember that we're there. We're kind of lucky in that many structural engineers just don't market what they do ever. If they're on social media, maybe they post a couple times a year. We're posting weekly, sometimes daily on Twitter. So I really use those channels to not only talk about what we're doing, but engage with our clients. Architects are all over Instagram. They show their work beautifully on Instagram. So it's what a great way for me just to, even if I'm not even commenting on what they do, but I'm like, hey, when I see them at the next networking event or at a continuing education, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was such a cool project, kudos. But yeah, social media, email, direct mail. I love direct mail.
Really?
It's my secret weapon. It's not very secret, but
Wow.
So how do you
a
do you
millennial saying that
yeah,
you have direct mail?
but it has to be purposeful.
I was going to say, it's very targeted.
Extremely targeted, and it has to serve a purpose, and it has to surprise and delight. And so that's what it has to do.
Where would you get a targeted list from? I mean, is there a source for stuff
That
like
would be our own list that I
your own
create.
list,
Yeah, that I
okay.
create.
So
Yeah, I don't
you're not-
buy lists.
You're not going and saying, hey, I need a list of architects
No.
and, 303.
Luckily, we don't need to do that
You
yet.
don't need to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's more personalized.
Very personal. I mean, it will, still might be like over 1,000 letters to go out. But for example, every year we send out Valentine's Day cards, and it's Valentine's Day cards that are design, engineering, architecture, and design themed. And we send a pack of Valentine's Day cards for our clients to use in their offices. So they're all really funny and.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm
sure
That's
you
the
have
holiday. No, I get
Yeah.
it. For your business,
No Christmas
that
cards.
holiday
None.
is much more important than
Exactly.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, or maybe even than for me, birthdays are big as a financial
Yeah.
planner.
Yeah, why be lost in the clutter around the holidays
Yeah.
when hardly anybody sends out anything for
Valentine's.
Valentine's Day? And what a great
I like
way
that.
to, so
As
that's what we
as
do.
a marketer, I love that.
Everybody knows love.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everybody celebrates Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And it's just, we can be funny, like a lot of.
Birthdays, that everyone doesn't celebrate
And it's
their
really
birthday.
important that you structure your Valentine's Day.
Today
right
is
with a
actually
good
my
foundation,
birthday.
or it's going to be a flop. Is it really?
Yeah, today's my birthday.
Aw, happy
You didn't send
birthday.
me a birthday card, Eric.
Happy birthday. Well, LinkedIn let me know that. You can connect by searching Van Pappas.
Do y'all use LinkedIn? Is
Yes,
that
yes.
a good resource?
It is a good resource, again, for hiring. And then just sharing. We do a lot of stuff for kids in STEM, and so it's a great opportunity for us to share what we're doing there.
Well, we are up at our break. We need to take a short break to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll play our ever fun game, Hot or Not.
Do you want to know the 7 biggest retirement blunders that people make with their money? Go to oxygenfinancial.net and get our free retirement guide and learn how to take control of your retirement plan here in 2019. Blunder number 2 has to do with the government and taxes. And blunder number 4 is something important to do with all of your IRA accounts. Worst of all is blunder number 3. Go to oxygenfinancial.net right now to get your free 7 biggest retirement blunders guide and get your 2019 off to the right financial start.
Welcome back to Between Two Trains. We have been talking with Malory Atkinson from Shear Structural. When you get finished listening to this great interview, go back and listen to some of our previous guests. You can hear them on our website at betweentwotrains.com. Or if you're in the car, just pull up your favorite podcasting app. We're on just about all of them. So, Eric, we're going to play Hot or Not. I'll take the first one. Malory. So, there are 3 of y'all. All right. Y'all are in no way related, correct?
Nope, no way related.
All right. So we've thrown this out a number of times. Being married to an entrepreneur.
Hot. I only have to say that because my husband is an entrepreneur.
He's also an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So we got 2 A-type personalities here.
Mm-hmm.
And that works.
Yes, so far.
So far.
I don't know. It's been almost 10 years.
What does he do?
He is working on opening a boutique bottle shop.
Like wine and liquor, that
Wine
kind of
and
bottle
liquor,
shop?
yeah,
Okay.
that kind of.
Here in Chambly.
Not here in Chambly,
come
no, in
on.
Atlanta. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. We'll give him a break. So being married to an entrepreneur is hot. Would your 2 partners say the same thing?
Yeah, they would probably agree. Yeah.
We get a mixed review on that question. Sometimes people think
Sometimes
it's hot.
sometimes
Yeah,
it's
it's hot.
You never know. So you're branding the company, you're building the company, employee uniforms. As you go out and present, is that something that's hot or not?
Hot, but I'd say it doesn't always have to be like the same uniform. Like not everyone has to wear the same thing.
You have an actual company uniform?
We have like polo shirts.
Yeah,
with
are
our
branded.
and jackets, and everybody has we even have socks. I mean, we've got lots of stuff. So
Socks,
yeah,
branded socks.
Yeah.
I like it.
Wow.
So
Why not?
yeah, exactly. But it's got to be good quality because again, you want something that people want to wear all the time.
Do architects and developers have more of a casual feel to them as opposed to someone in financial planning where if I'm going in a meeting I want to look professional, maybe wear a suit or a sports coat?
So developers are definitely going to always have your suit or sport coat
They are
on.
more.
Yes, yeah, they for sure.
The architects might be in jeans.
Architects are going to be in jeans and something very trendy. So, but for us, it's mainly when we go out on job sites, it's just a good thing to remind people because there's usually a lot of consultants there. So there's other engineers there.
Right.
So it's just a good thing to.
That way you stand out.
Exactly.
They know who you are.
And our color is bright
That
green.
You're not
So,
some guy that just came off the street.
Yeah, branded hard hats. We got the whole.
You have branded hard hats?
Yeah.
Oh man, I got to get a branded hard hat of sheer structural. How can I buy one of those? Next time we're at the pool, I'm going to wear my sheer structural branded hard hat.
Safety first, man.
That's
Safety
right.
first.
That's right. When I go off the dive board, right?
Exactly.
All right. So another hot or not. We've got 8, 9 employees. You said 10 employees. Sharing financials with your employees. We've asked this question a number of times, and so how much do you let them dig into what y'all are doing?
So I definitely think that's something that's hot. We try to be as transparent as possible in sharing profitability data, revenue data, even sometimes collections data, because they need to know the state of the company. As a small company, I mean, I want them to feel like they have as much, responsibility, to helping us win more work, making the jobs more profitable. I mean, they're a huge component of that. And so they don't, how in the world can they contribute to that if they don't know that? And plus they're engineers. They love numbers and they love data. And so anything else that we can give them that helps them have better data, they love it.
So I got 2 follow-on questions to that. One is we've had people say, oh, I don't like giving that out because as soon as I gave it out, my employees thought I was making all this money. But what I like about your answer is the collections. I don't know that most entrepreneurs, Eric, will think about that. It's one thing to say, here's my P&L, and look, we're making X amount of profit. But, oh, by the way, we got all this money sitting over here that we haven't been able to collect yet. And that's affecting cash flow.
Yeah, I mean, it's
so that's an important.
That's a hugely important metric, and we shared that number at the very beginning. We had, again, I sort of mentioned it earlier. We started so strong. I mean, we had our first month. We were billing clients, had work. We were going gangbusters, but we didn't collect on like more than 10% of what we billed in the first 6 months.
What's the normal time frame on a project?
Typically 120 to 160.
Okay.
So that's a long time.
Yeah.
Very long time. It's an industry epidemic, I would call it. So
why do you think that is?
Because typically we go through architect. So we're at the bottom of the food chain, right? And then we bill to an architect. Architect sometimes bills directly to developer. Sometimes they go to a contractor, and then the contractor goes to the developer, and then the developer has to wait for the bank.
Right. So by the time the bank.
So by the time everybody's got
so
30 days, and so it just like all that takes time, and it just trickles down to us.
Sure.
And so really, our industry should be doing better at getting retainers, but that was not.
Is there much of a default with payments?
Oh yes, yeah. Typically we budget like 10%. For bad debt.
That's why a lot of folks went away in the recession, probably.
Yeah, I mean it was huge. So it was important for our team to see, even though we were working so hard, we were going gangbusters, that even in the first 6 months, hey, we had billed all this work, but we had only collected like $50,000. So the owners were still floating what that meant was the owners were still floating the company. And so those are just things that we want them to know about. Like it's a problem in the industry. This is why certain decisions can't be made. And so we talk about that often.
In terms of growing a business, being a partner in a company, is it hot or not to have a mentor?
Oh, hot, of course. Yeah, I think you need mentors for lots of different things.
What kind of
Did you
mentor?
have when you started?
Oh, yeah.
Did you have one?
Yeah, I have a number of different mentors. One business owner, completely different type of business, but he grew his company from nothing to 150 million. So, great resource there. I have another mentor, and she is trying to start a business, but she had gone through 6 successful startups. So she was from the tech side, and she's in people management. So she has a great perspective on people. I mean, I've used my whole network to find mentors for different things. But I think we can, even though we're might not be in the same industry, we can take things from other industries and learn from them.
And that was my question, because it's such a niche. And being the only women-owned, women-managed structural engineering firm in the whole state.
Yeah, you got to look elsewhere.
The pool of mentors that overlap is pretty small, maybe even non-existent.
Yeah.
So, but you answered it. You get both people in the industry, and then also people who have done something similar in a different industry.
Yeah, that's right. Just
Very
people
cool.
for lots of different things, and because again, we've all been through this in some form, shape. I mean, it's business. You know, the same things apply, and again, cash is king. I mean, all those things still apply to our business. We just look at it through a different lens, and so if you can learn from something that somebody else did, it's great.
We've been pretty fortunate in this country the last decade of having a lot of prosperity. Do you see anything on the horizons where, maybe not necessarily as strong as 2008, but where you're saying, yeah, we do need this war chest because, something's coming?
Yeah, all the yield curve inversion, there's lots of indicators, both positive and negative, that something is coming. I don't think it'll be anything like the Great Recession. I obviously hope it won't be anything like the Great Recession. I don't think it'll affect our industry like it affected the Great Recession. Just the financing just isn't there. Like just the way that the financing was structured just doesn't exist like it did back then. So, I mean, I'd say probably next year we'll see a slowdown, but that's not a terrible thing. I mean, if anything, it's more like a correction, because right now it's just construction costs are soaring, labor, all these labor shortages. It's really difficult anyways, so it wouldn't be a terrible thing for it to just slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not if, it's when.
Yeah, I definitely
Although
agree.
I'm not quite sure there's going to be any slowdown in housing anytime soon. There's just such demand there. I know we're building a lot of
Well, in
multifamily.
Yeah, but even the multifamily, they just like the rental rates just kind of hit their peak, and now they're coming back down per square foot. So, all those kind of signs are, I mean, again, the finance, again, it's all about the bankers.
Yeah.
And the financing is there for multifamily right now, and so that's where the money is, and that's.
Are y'all working on any multifamily
We're doing a
projects?
little bit of multifamily. Multifamily is typically wood construction, and that's not as exciting for us as steel or concrete or
Oh,
masonry.
y'all got
and so,
a desired.
Yeah.
And wood is not it. Huh?
Well, again, we like wood. We have nothing against wood. It's just the other things are more fun.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time. I know we could probably talk another half hour with you, and we didn't get into as much on some of the topics I'd like to, but most of our listeners are probably not going to be your clients or customers. But if someone out there is listening to us, an architect, a developer, and wants to get a hold of you, how should they contact you?
Yeah, please check out our website. It's shear, SHEAR, structural.com, or we're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and that's at shear structural. So, it'd be great.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Eric, any parting words of wisdom?
It's not if, but when.
I love it. You've been listening to Between Two Trains. Check us out on the 1st and 15th of every month. Have a good one.